Do you have employees using COVID-19 as an excuse to not come to work? I have a business owner here who's having that problem, and we're going to help him straighten it out. Let's get into it. So I'm active on a Facebook business forum named Small Business United, and Susan was kind enough to tag me and alert me to this post. It goes as follows. I am running into a serious problem. With all the COVID stuff going on, we have been lenient with our staff. Now we keep getting, I think I may have been in contact with and need to self-isolate. A week goes by and, oh hey, we're okay and back to work. But after a week or two of the same story, our business is hard to staff anyways, and I'm having employees do this. It makes our jobs very, very difficult. Any suggestions on how to handle this situation? I've got quite a few. But before I get into how to handle the situation, Corey, because I don't know a lot about your business, I did do a little bit of research, and I know you are in Iowa. Unfortunately, I am in Texas, so I know a lot about Texas laws and things like that. I don't know a lot about Iowa, but there are some things that you can do regardless of what state you are in. I must make the following assumption that you have an attendance policy in writing in an employee handbook, and your employees are aware of your attendance policy. This is super important because I'm going to go back to that later on in this video. Now back to your post. With all the COVID stuff going on, we have been lenient with our staff. I'm going to suggest that you not be lenient with your staff with regard to your attendance policies, especially those in writing, because what that does is it pretty much null and voids the attendance policies that you've already written and had in place. What happens is you are enforcing the attendance policies, and then you're not enforcing the attendance policies, and then you go back and enforce them again. So that gets kind of wishy-washy, and in the eyes of any type of government agency, here it's the Texas Workforce Commission, in Iowa it's something else. That's not going to look good on your company if you have written policies and you only enforce them occasionally. Now, we're going to talk about your COVID-19 employment policies. This is another set of policies that you will have to write, and that will outline your company's policies on what happens when someone says, I don't feel well, I think I have COVID. But there's homework you have to do before you can do this. Number one, you need to find out where all the free testing sites are in the city where your business resides. So there should be a list somewhere on some type of government website, and it'll say free COVID testing is here, 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 and here. You need to write that down. You need to write down the address, the name of the testing site, and any other information that you can find out about it. Now, if your company offers insurance benefits, you can call your insurance agent and say, hey, if my employees go to test for COVID, is it covered in the policy? Now, in my case, I have Blue Cross Blue Shield, and Blue Cross Blue Shield of Texas 100% covers all COVID testing. So this is also another area where your company will have to do some research. Find out, number one, where the free testing sites are, and number two, find out if your company's insurance plan covers COVID-19 testing. If so, how much? 100%, 90%, what have you. With regard to the insurance coverage of COVID-19 testing, you now want to find out all the urgent care centers and all the places that someone can go to get tested, at least somewhere in the general vicinity of your office. And now you have to write all this down. You have to put that as part of your COVID policy. Okay, For free testing, if my company doesn't have insurance, I'm going to send employees here. If my company does have insurance and the insurance pays for it, I'm going to send the employees here. And there's also places like LabCorp and Concentra where your company can get into a contract with those organizations and you can send your employees there as well. Another part of your COVID-19 policy has to do with employee pay. Are you going to pay your employees if they are off due to COVID? If your company has less than 50 employees, then there is an exclusion for that. And I won't get into that with the video, but I'm going to assume that your company has less than 50 employees, Corey. So you don't have to worry about paying your employees as long as you meet certain criteria. And we can talk about that at another time if you would like. This would also be written down, by the way, in your COVID policies. Next, you have to educate your employees on your COVID policies. You sit them down in a meeting and you have all of your COVID policies in writing saying, this is what's going to happen if you have COVID. You need to go get tested. You need to do this, and this. And you need to do it right away. Do not write your COVID policies without putting in deadlines. For example, if someone says, I have COVID, you need to say, okay, within 24 hours, you need to go get tested, or you need to go to this location and you need to wait. So now all of your policies are written. Your attendance policy is written, it's firm, you're adhering to it. Now your COVID policies are all written and everyone has been made aware of your COVID policies. Now you have the employee who comes in and says, hey, Corey, I don't feel well. I think I have COVID. You're going to say, hello, employee. We need to make sure you do not have COVID. You need to report to this testing site right away, within 24 hours, within 48 hours, whatever your policy is going to be. You need to wait there and you need to take the COVID-19 test. You can't come back to work until this test is done. And I need to see some type of documentation that proves that you were there and you took the test. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to start documenting these people who claim that they have COVID. You're going to put it in a separate file, a medical file. Medical files are kept separately from employment files. You're going to write down that employee A came to you on this day, this time, stating that they believed that they had COVID. Now, on another note, on a personal note, I had to take the COVID-19 test with my husband, who was exposed to someone who may have had COVID. Corey, once these people who are claiming to have COVID and they go and take this test, when they shove that rod up your nose into your brain and hold it in there for 15 seconds while your nose is on fire, burning, no one's going to want to lead you to believe that they have COVID. Now, once the employee lets you know that they think they've been exposed to COVID and you give them your COVID policies and their instructions where they're supposed to go to take the test and all of that, you need to keep all of that in writing in that medical folder. And I would follow up with an email to that employee. I would send it to their personal email as well as their business email, and I would make a copy for the records for that medical file. And that way you are doing your due diligence and you are also documenting what happened with that employee once they notified you that they believed that they had been exposed to COVID-19. Corey, I hope that was enough information to get you started on the right track with regard to resolving this issue about employees conveniently having COVID when they don't want to work. Just to recap, make sure you have a current attendance policy. Make sure you have your COVID policies written down. Find out where the testing sites are. Find out where the free testing sites are, and also find out where the testing sites are that will accept your company's insurance. Call your insurance company. Ensure that they will pay for the COVID test. Mine paid 100%. Start documenting a summary of the conversation you had with that employee via email. Once that employee comes back, then you want to see the test results. I got test results back that said negative because I asked for them. We went to the testing site, requested our results for the COVID-19 test. We were able to get those at zero cost. All right, Corey, let's say your company performs all these steps and you are not satisfied, or you find out that your employee lied about their COVID symptoms. Keep in mind that your priority is to ensure the safety of your other employees and the viability of your company. With that being said, you have two options. Option 1, the employee can't come back to work for the 2-week quarantine period. Assume that the employee did have COVID as a precaution. Because I'm assuming that your company has less than 50 employees, you will notify the employee that he or she will not be paid for this time off unless you have a PTO or a paid sick policy already in place at your company. Option 2, if you have bona fide proof that your employee was not truthful when saying he or she believed they had COVID symptoms, your current attendance policy now will kick in. Consequences for any employment policy violation should be in writing and explained to your employees once the policy is introduced to those employees. As an example, employees will receive a verbal warning, a write-up, or whatever your disciplinary action states in your current attendance policy. At the end of the policy, be sure to write that disciplinary actions will not be applied in any particular order. I recommend further adding the following information. All employees should know that the disciplinary action will be taken for, but not limited to, the following scenarios that could result in immediate termination: altering, removing, or falsifying company records, blah, blah, blah. That includes any medical records. Violation of safety practice that might cause injury or death or illness to self or fellow workers. The unauthorized leaving of any worksite. Unreported absence, excessive overall absences, or absence without justifiable cause. Final decision of a justifiable cause to be determined by management. These rules are not all-inclusive, but represent the types of unacceptable behavior that may cause or result in the disciplinary action as described above. If you have any more questions, Corey, or if anyone has any questions, please leave them in the comment section below, and I will answer them as soon as possible during these incredibly unprecedented times. Thanks for watching.